Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a book review for one of my most anticipated books of the year, and if you couldn't tell, I already didn't like it. It's Runtime by Catherine Ryan Howard. I'm going to start up front by saying I didn't like it. I've been putting a lot of negative reviews lately, so if you clicked on this hoping for a positive review, it's not. So click off of it now, because this is going to be a little bit of a rant towards the end, because oh man, I had so many problems with this book and I was so disappointed because this has like my favorite tropes in it. Well, not tropes, but it's not a trope, but theme. It has my favorite theme in it. I love books that take place on movie sets. But the reason I didn't like this is because I felt like it didn't take place on a movie set. So I'll explain when we get to spoilers what is going on with this book and why I didn't like it. But first we're going to go through plot, what I liked and disliked, and then we'll get to spoilers. So Runtime is following our main character, who is a washed up actress. She had some sort of incident in her past in Ireland where she originally worked, and she moved to LA to escape whatever happened. And in LA, she just can't land jobs, especially because she's not really putting on her resume exactly like who she is, because she doesn't want anyone to find her. So she suddenly gets a call from a casting director or something like that for a new movie that's coming out. Super top secret, gonna be with a director who everyone knows and does really good work and is very like indie kind of thing going on. So good pay. It's gonna be in the middle of nowhere in Ireland, so she's going back home, and no bad reception, etc. So she's like, this is perfect. I don't want anyone to know I'm home. I don't want any of this, but I miss acting. So I'm going to take the job. So she takes the job, and when she starts going with the acting and reading the script, she starts realizing that things are starting to come true that are happening in the script as well. And unfortunately for her, it's a thriller horror movie. So that's kind of the premise, and it sounds so good. It sounds so good. Love this cover. I love everything about this edition of the book. It's very weirdly heavy, so it was kind of hard to read without breaking the spine. I could only open the book this much while reading it. So if you get the hardback of this book, keep that in mind. It is difficult to read unless you break the spine. And I know a lot of people who are probably reading these reviews do not like breaking spines. So you're probably going to be in the same boat as I am, or just wait for it to come out in paperback. But it's a beautiful edition of the book. So first off, I'm gonna say I gave this a 2-star, and I was trying to like think of reasons I actually should give it a 2.5, but I really didn't like this book. I really didn't like it. So unfortunately, it is a 2-star. It does have like a 3.5 something on Goodreads, so it's not doing great either. And I definitely can see why. I was looking through some of the comments of people who gave it around the same rating that I did, or I looked at 1 to 3-star ratings. Pretty much everyone said the same thing how I feel. A lot of people DNF'd it because it was so boring. And then I looked at some of the good reviews, and I just didn't get why they liked it. Like they said, but I was like, I didn't get that from this book, but I'm glad people did. I always hope that there's an audience out there that loves a book that I don't, because I hate disliking books. I really hate disliking books. I would love to love every book that I read. Absolutely. Because writing is so hard. Like I've written a couple full-length novels that are just sitting on my computer because I'm terrified to do anything with a publisher. And it's hard, and I don't want anyone to read them because objectively one of them is pretty bad, but I love it because it's like a part of me. It's exactly what I wanted in a book, and I wrote it over like 6 years. So I was really young when I wrote it. Like it's been done for a while. And it's just objectively not very good and very generic. And I know that's what people would say when it came out, like if it came out. So it hurts, like thinking about that. So having someone actually come out, write a book, publish it, and have other people read it and not like it, that's awful. That's awful. So I don't want to dislike books. And unfortunately, that was the case with this. So sad. But anyway, the things that I liked about this book, so it takes place on... See, I'm having a hard time talking about the things I like. The second half of the book, I like the location. So the problem with this book is that it doesn't really do anything for 150 pages. And that really got me. Like, that was, oh man, I was talking to my husband about it and I was like, I'm struggling. I'm really struggling with this because nothing has happened. But anyway, once they actually get to like the location they're supposed to get to, it's a really good location. Very secluded, no cell reception, and it makes sense. Like, I feel like some books isolate people in a place that doesn't make sense and like they can get to civilization or they should have cell signal. But this place is in the middle of backwoods Ireland, nothing. There's trees everywhere disrupting cell service, etc. It makes sense, and a lot of times movies will film in these backwoods locations to get really scenic things, and because it is cheaper to film than the middle of LA or New York. So it makes sense to me. The plot, not the plot, but the setting makes sense, and I love it. What else did I like about this book? Oh no. I did like our main character. She felt very real, like as a wash-up actress kind of would feel. Like she's trying to get rid of her dream. Like she's like, I'm not gonna like it anymore. I'm not gonna want to be an actress anymore, etc. And you can tell that's not how that works. You want what you want. So I love that she felt very, very real throughout the whole book, and she reacted to things the way I feel like normal people would react. So I always appreciate that when you don't have this like crazy person who comes out and is like badass and you're like, I don't think this person would act. This is not normal. This is not how a normal person would act. She 100% acted like how a normal person would act, which I really appreciated. And that's all that I can think about that I liked about it. That's not great. That's not great. Alright, let's move on to things that I didn't like. It was slow. It was so slow. Like I said, it took about this much of the book for anything to actually happen. It took this long for her to actually get to the set. Otherwise, she was sitting in LA, wallowing, being really, like, I always find it weird when you're in a character's head and they're going, I can't go back there because of the thing. And I'm like, bro, you wouldn't, like, talk to yourself about it like that. So it was really weird. That's what most of the beginning of the book was her being like super cryptic, and I'm like, this is so annoying. I'm so annoyed. I don't like a lot of times when they do that, like there's some secret going on and they're constantly hinting at what's happening. I like when it's very subtle, like when a character is going about their daily time and maybe one thing will pop up like, oh, I don't want to think about that. And then it's never brought up again, but there's like subtle hints in the background, like a note she picks up that she reads that's got like a hint in it, but she doesn't really think that much about it. Stuff like that. I like when it's subtle. This was like a bull in a china shop. It was, oh, I can't think about that. The name Martin. I was like, okay, she said something happened. Something happened in the past. Okay. Another thing I didn't like, that thing that happened wasn't even that big of a deal. It was like, I was expecting she like murdered somebody or like set something on fire, but it wasn't. I won't say what it was, but it wasn't even a big deal. It wasn't even a big deal. It was ridiculous. It was, for that kind of buildup, I was like, this is nothing. This is so stupid. Oh man, that probably made me more upset than anything else, because I was like, really? Really? That's what you're freaking out about? Oh my god. Another thing that I didn't like was the actual script part of it. I started really liking that because that was the most interesting part of the first 150 pages, but she overused the idea of it. So the idea is that the script is coming to life. However, she's including pages of the script in the book and then it happening to the main character. So nothing is a surprise at all. And it like kind of honestly ruins it. And it gets super repetitive. Like you're reading about this fake person in the fake book that she's doing this activity. Then this happens to her. Then this happens to her. And then you go to the real person you're following and the same exact stuff happens to her. So it's almost like reading the exact same chapter twice. And it was kind of cool at first, and then it got super repetitive, especially by the end. Like, it's still happening at the end, and I'm like, you're ruining everything that's happening. Stop doing that. Stop. There's only like one thing that happened that wasn't in the script, but it's like, girl, stop. Don't do that. It was really obvious what a lot of the twists were. Like, super obvious. There was one that wasn't super obvious, but once it was revealed, it was kind of like, I didn't like it either, so that was unfortunate. But there was like 4 or 5 twists, and they were all so easy to guess. It was so, again, like I said, it was like a bull in a china shop. She was way too obvious about everything, and I don't know if this is like, I don't know, I've never read any of her other books, so I don't know if this is just her writing style and you have to like how she writes stuff, but I did not like how she was trying to reveal stuff in this thriller. It just didn't work. It just didn't work for me, unfortunately. It's really all I can think about without talking about spoilers, because there's a lot of spoilers in this book. There's a shocking number of spoilers in this thriller. I feel like most times when I read a thriller, there's like one minor twist and one major twist, and there's like multiple reveals throughout this book, so it's really hard to talk about without talking about spoilers, which is why we're going to get into spoilers right now. So I'm gonna pop a little thing up. If you don't want to see the spoilers, make sure to look away. If you want to read the book, go check it out and then come back and we can discuss it. And that's all I gotta say to you for that. So if you're leaving, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can come back and check out other reviews and like the video and leave a comment when you come back, hopefully, and read it. Anyway, let's get into those spoilers. We're gonna try to keep it tame, I think. I don't know. We're just free-flowing this video because I don't know how I feel about a lot of stuff. Okay, first spoiler that I want to talk about is, I don't know if I should like start with the soft ones or go straight for the gut. I guess I'll start with the soft ones. First of all, this is so stupid. Obviously Steve is not Steve. So the director not being Steve, oh my gosh, obviously he is not Steve. I feel like that was the most obvious thing in this book, is that she, because she was, like I said, bull in a china shop. She's going through these photos of this person and he's never alone. He's never alone. So it's just so convenient. And it's like, bro, I don't even have Tinder, and I know if you have multiple pictures, it's probably the other guy. It's probably the guy you want it to be is probably not it, and it's the other guy. It's very obvious. So obviously it's not Steve. So I was just like, oh my gosh. I was expecting it to be like an assistant of Steve, not actually Daniel, which in hindsight, of course it was Daniel. His like person who's produced every one of his films, something like that. But yeah, it was obvious it wasn't Steve, so we're gonna move on past that one because I feel like that was super obvious. Next one that became obvious and frustrated me to no end is that she was being set up. I feel like she figured that out pretty fast, but it was obviously a setup. And I even figured out that they were filming it. Like, I was like, obviously they're trying to get your reaction from this. It's a bit funky, but obviously they don't like you and they're trying to make you incredibly uncomfortable. And they're probably trying to get you to get like an authentic reaction out of this. So that seemed kind of obvious. Like, of course, like no one reading the script and then hearing her would be like, oh, that's just a coincidence. No. So no. I would say that one was a little less obvious, but then the other super obvious thing was that Martin, the guy that she's trying to run away from. Oh yeah. So that spoiler is that basically she had a meltdown on set. Something was happening to her. She was throwing up. All this bad stuff was happening to her. And then she got fired because she sounded paranoid and crazy. That's literally it. She was avoiding her hometown, avoiding her family, avoiding everyone she knew because she had a psychotic breakdown on a film set. Like, I know it ruins your career, but literally moving to LA away from everybody you know is probably not the course of action that you want to take. So that felt weird. That was weird and seemed way more obsessive than it needed to be. And then when Martin showed up, which I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting Martin to actually be like related to the film. It was super obvious he was trying to save her and she ran away from him. I'm like, okay, so Donald, the nice guy who actually secretly knew about you being filmed this whole time, you're gonna trust him over a director that you legitimately worked with, even though he fired you? Of course I'm gonna trust the director who actually, like, I 100% know already. Like, are you kidding me? She trusted the guy that she barely knew and knew they were filming her reaction to be scared. That is literally the worst decision I may have seen in a thriller book. Seriously, one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. I could not understand her reasoning there, because I was sitting there going, oh, okay, Martin's here. She's going to run out, tell him what happened. Martin's going to get killed. That's what I thought was going to happen. No, she runs away from Martin. That was the other thing that was bizarre. There was no killing. There was no immediate danger, really, for the main character this whole time. It was so weird. Like, there was none of them actually wanted to harm her. I feel like I was so misled with the, like, synopsis. So there was no one trying to chase her, no one with ill intent, really, nothing bad happening, just these people being absolute creeps and illegally filming her for a film. But that's it. They weren't even gonna kill her to keep her quiet. They were just gonna hire lawyers and try to shut her up. So you ran away from this group of people, one who you know, like, knowing nothing bad was gonna happen, because she'd already, like, confronted two people. Like, if they were gonna kill you, it probably was when you confronted the two people alone and were locked in an attic. Her decision making at the end was shocking. And the big twist that I didn't see coming. I didn't see it coming, but having everything happen to her because of Julia, her friend who took her, I think it was originally her babysitter that took her to the casting, and she's the one who got a role as a child actress in the These Are Our Days, what is it called? The soap opera on TV that she had been in for so long. Having it be the babysitter and now her friend grown up who was sabotaging her the whole time. Why does this book hate women? Because they make out the women of this book to be so unhinged, and there's only two. Like, it's literally only Julia and our main character, I don't even remember her name. You know how sad that is? Adele. It's Julia and Adele are, like, literally the only women besides some minor characters. Everyone else is a man. And it turns out the one unhinged person in the whole book, like, obviously that director Daniel is, but Julia, who's been scorned by Martin, turns out she was, like, Martin's girlfriend. She was pissed and jealous about her friend, so she sabotaged her. And I'm like, can I not read a book that has, like, a healthy female relationship in it? I just didn't like that. I wanted Julia to be good. I wanted more what was promised in this book. I wanted it to be like a final girl slasher thing going on, and it did have a final girl feel to it, which I liked, but it wasn't enough. Like, it wasn't like a real thriller to me. This wasn't a thriller. This was like a literary fiction with some chase scenes in it. So I don't know. I stand by my 2 stars. I really did not enjoy this. I'm just so confused about a lot of the decisions that this author made. And especially at the end, there was, like, a weird part where it broke, like, the 3rd wall or whatever, or the 4th wall. What is it? The 4th wall? And my husband's gonna laugh at me. Don't tell him I couldn't remember that. He makes fun of me all the time because I can never remember sayings. Yeah, so at the end, there was such a weird thing. It was like, so Steve says, because she meets Steve at the end, which I did kind of like. That was kind of cool. But it says, if this was a movie, Steve said, we'd need another twist. Or a twist, since Julia as a villain was pretty obvious in hindsight. Maybe this isn't the end. Maybe there will be a sequel. Julia's mother, I suggested, doing a Mrs. Voorhees. She never liked me, not after the audition. Or something jumping out of the water, some kind of mythological creature, a paddling Mothman. And I'm like, this, like, completely changed, like, the vibes of the book at the end. It's very weird. Felt very strange. Like, I feel like they were trying to give a nod to horror movies and the fact that this is a thriller, but it was very strange and seemed very out of context of the book. Like, there was no other point where they broke the 4th wall. or did anything like that. So I don't know. It was just very strange. I didn't like that. I can see that being kind of cool, but because it was like the last page, I didn't like it. And then it went into the end of the book. And I didn't really understand the end of the book. The last book, or the last chapter is the last chapter of the fake book. And it's talking about how the main character, it seems like she takes, so in the script, the bad guy is her best friend. So that's obvious. It was obviously going to be Julia. And they reveal that ahead of time. So you're like, okay, it's going to be Julia. Stop revealing stuff ahead of time. And at the very, very end, it turns out he had written the book that was in the cabin. And at the very end, it seems like in this last chapter that she took his book and sold it as her own. I'm a little confused about that because I don't know if she like rewrote it and it was her experience in the cabin with her friend, or if she just legitimately took his book and resold it as her own. I don't know. I'm a little confused about that ending. It was very odd, and it felt like there should have been more because of the weird hint at, if this was a thriller, it would be another twist. Felt like there should have been something more afterwards, not just a random weird fake chapter. If that makes sense. Like, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this, because there was a lot of like weird meta stuff going on in this book. Like, there was even a book within the book, within the real book. So it got weird. Anyway, so that was like the weird ending. So I'm a little confused about the ending. If you interpreted the ending a way that I did not, can you please explain it to me? Because I am a little confused by the weird, there should be another twist, and then there being that last chapter. So I would like to please know what that was about, if that had any meaning at all, or if it did. I don't know. Explain the ending to me, what you thought about the ending, because it kind of confused me. But that's all I'm going to say about this book, I think. I think I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. And, oh gosh, yeah, that's all I got. I am sorry I disliked another book. I'm trying. Man, October started off pretty good. I finished The Golden Enclaves by Naomi Novik, and I really, really liked that book. It wasn't as good as the other two, so that was disappointing, but it was still really good. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be good reading month. This is gonna be good. And then I read this, and I was like, oh, come on. Come on, give me a break. So it's already leading into a rough month. But anyway, that's all I've got for you guys. Make sure to leave a comment down below on what you thought about the book. Go ahead and do spoilers. Just make sure you write spoilers and then kind of list stuff down below that, because this will probably have people who want to see spoilers and don't. So yeah, I hope you guys like this book. If you liked it, let me know why. If you didn't, let me know why. The usual. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel for more reviews. Hopefully more positive ones. And I'll see you guys in the next video.